And welcome back, folks. How are we doing tonight? I want to do a quick recap of a couple things. One is a redhead steering gear replacement. Just going to do a quick high-level overview of it. No real detail with it, but just my initial thoughts on it and all that. And also a Superlift leveling kit. So this thing has now got the leveling kit on it. I've put maybe about 500 miles on her since. And yeah, so I can tell you kind of about that whole rigmarole here. I'll get under there and just show you some stuff, and we'll go from there. So let's see here real quick. So what I put on it was a full spring leveling kit from Superlift. Supposedly only a 2-inch system. I mean, every vehicle's a little different compared to how the old springs were and all saggy they were, but anyway, so 2-inch full spring replacement. It came with a bracket for the track bar, and needless to say, I got this thing out, and it's compared to the factory cast piece, this thing is pretty cheese dick. Especially this tab, like mainly this tab on this right side there. Not so great, at least in my opinion. So I opted not to use that, and so I've got that thing laying around now. But so not really a fan of that. I wish I would have just gone back and just ordered the darn springs, and that would be about it, right? U-bolts and springs done from Superlift. I called them and didn't have them send me the shocks with this because I knew I didn't want their shocks, because I was going to put back on some Ranchos, some RS 9000s, which I've got sitting right here. So these are slightly longer than factory. And anyways, so this thing being a 2-inch kit, my front wheel wells, before the this was installed, were sitting at right at 38 on both passenger driver side, 38 inches. After install, dropping it right down, it was at 41.5. So a tad more than I wanted. It was definitely sitting very, very almost Carolina squat, and I was gonna kill myself because I hated it. So drove it, like I said, maybe about 500 miles, and now she's sagged down an inch. So now she's sitting at 40.5 inches. So the leveling kit, brought her up 2.5 inches. Which I'm okay. I would have been fine with right at 2 or 1.5 inches, just a little bit, right? It wasn't going crazy by any means. But, so now it actually sits really close to factory ride height on this Ram here. Anyways, they're within a 1/2 inch wheel well, front and back. So, with that said, she's leveled. The ride quality is 100% night and day better. Smoother by every stretch of the imagination. Less rattles and squeaks and nonsense. So for that aspect, replacement on the full springs, 100% worth it. Best thing I could have done. Those old springs were starting to get some negative arch to them, and so obviously there were some issues there. Now I've still got to do the back, and I've got out of leafs sitting right here. So I'm going to put them in first and see how she is. Ideally, I want the back to be about 1.5 inches higher than the front. So I don't think the add leaf is going to quite get me there, but we'll see. Somewhere I'm expecting lift out of it, minimum probably about 7/8. But then I don't know what's worth it to find a 3-inch block to replace my factory 2-inch blocks and bring her up. So, and because you can't find a cast 3-inch block as far as I can find. So I'm in a dilemma in the back. I could put a 4-inch block in the back, factory cast style, not a fabricated one. I don't know what to do, but we'll see. We'll get to the back later. So let me, without further ado, let me run through what other stuff I did on my under the hood stuff. So I did a redhead steering gear, a magnifying power steering filter, let's see, miscellaneous other crap that really no one knows. I replaced some light bulbs that I didn't even realize were out in the driver door, passenger door. Some turn signal bulbs that finally died for the first time since I've had the truck in 07. I replaced the power steering pump at the same time. So there's, I kind of mentioned that with one of my earlier videos on that pulley review. I had to replace some parts of the AFE air intakes that were getting dry rotted, the rubber parts crapping out. And then I replaced both the Hydro Boost power steering hoses under there. So let me grab the light here and I'll run over and try and keep this video as short and sweet as I can. So start up here, nothing really to see, but I will say as far as power, there's one of my new hoses right there. You can kind of see her. There's my other one coming right out, and they all run right down in here, and that's got some fluid on it because I just had an alignment done, and turning the wheel, they kind of overflowed it, I guess, when they had it at the shop. But anyways, those hoses were seeping. I figured, what the hell, might as well replace the power steering pump that was in there. So sorry, put in a brand new one of those when I was in there. Glad I did. And yeah, so there's that. So now let me hop under here and show you some things. So let's see here. Under we go. Oh, all right. So there's this, full new spring replacement. It's got some decent arch to it. Yeah, new U-bolts, obviously, of course. Got to trim those down. U-bolts, cut them down once you're done. The hardest part about this whole kit for this, in this case, was getting these bolts out of the leaf spring eyes on this side specifically. This one here, I soaked it for a couple of days, hit it with a torch, tried pounding it out with this big sledgehammer, couldn't get it out. So ended up getting the Sawzall, cutting it out, and I think I ate 5 or 6 Sawzall blades, most I've ever eaten in one little project. So these bolts are crazy. They're, what are they, like 10.9, like a 20, can't remember what size they are, but they're beefy suckers. They're expensive too from Ford, so I did have to order a couple of new ones of these. In hindsight, I should have just gone to the junkyard because I went there a week ago real quick, and they had a bunch of them laying out there. But anyways, I would be prepared to have to cut these suckers out. This one on this side came out easy, no issues. Instructions to the Superlift kit, I mean, don't mention, but you can just pull this little bracket out right here, and then this will give you way more access into accessing this guy with a socket. So anyways, there's that. So like I said, it's looks a little wet down here just because the guy yesterday doing my alignment kind of overflowed her, but there's the red head. No issues at all with the red head. It's amazing. It's tight. Night and day difference. So happy I went and just did that. And so I guess there's that with the red head piece. No issues with install. No issues with shipping. Any issues whatsoever with the red head gear. Getting that pitman arm off was an absolute bear. So yeah, that was interesting. But anyway, so with that said, this kit supposedly is a 2-inch level, right? Now, I use the factory track bar bracket, as you can see, right there. And in doing so, you're going to need an adjustable track bar then. So I got this guy, and supposedly it's for anything from a 2-inch, I believe, to a 6-inch lift from Freedom Off-Road. And needless to say, it's slightly too short. Or slightly doesn't go short enough. It needs to compress about another 3/8 of an inch to get the axle perfectly centered under the pickup. So I called up these guys, and they're like, of course, we never heard of any of that before. Go figure. And then, I don't know. So what I'm thinking of having to do here is this adjusting sleeve. I think I'm just going to pull this whole thing back off and cut her down. And then in theory, these two pieces will slide in further, make sure I don't have any issues with the threaded ends meeting in the middle, but if I do, I'll just trim those down a little bit shorter too. Just get this thing so it'll go a little bit shorter, and then we should be good to go on this thing. Sorry about that. So basically, that's that. Oh, and so when I went to go get the alignment done, now I need lower ball joints, so I got some kryptonite ones of them coming. And what else? Yeah, so overall the Superlift kit was good. Just my key thing there is be ready to remove and have a hell of a time with those brackets. Make sure you have a buddy to help you load these leaf springs in here. They're bare. I did not pull off the front bumper like the instructions say. And yeah, my brake lines are definitely too short now. That's another thing with this kit. Yeah, at full decompression, it's really pulling on the brake lines. So I'm gonna order some stainless steel braided ones that are a little bit longer, and we'll go from there. So with that said, that is what I got going on here. So, yeah. So let me get it out from underneath and let you guys get back with your evening. But I do have some of the torque specs if you wanted to stick around and listen to those. Would I torque some of that stuff too? Let's see. So the track bar supposedly was 406 foot-pounds. Crazy, so I just got her as tight as I could with a cheater pipe a little, which I kind of believe based on how getting it off of there was. Track bar bracket 129 foot-pounds at that nut. Front leaf spring hangers 185 foot-pounds there, pound-foot, whatever. And then your shock, always amazes me the shock bracket bolts are supposedly 76 foot-pounds, but anyways, yeah, so there's that. But she rides a lot better, the level, or lift in this case, because it's definitely higher than I kind of thought it was going to be. Happy with the ride quality. Height will be okay, not going to go any bigger tires, but do have some new tires coming once I get them kryptonite ball joints in. So that's what I got for you, and talk to you soon.